It is Tuesday night, and we have just finished up the regular season of the NCHC. I am Mike. Once again, with me for another episode of Go Horns and Fight Songs is Wes, and we're ready for playoff time. It was it was an exciting last weekend, just figuring out the standings and who was going to end up where and playing who, other than Denver and Miami. Uh, got some interesting games out of it, and now we're ready for the real thing, quote unquote, real thing.
Yeah, I mean, going into the weekend, all we knew was Denver was first and Miami was last. But outside of that, we had no idea what was going to happen, and it took until the final buzzer of the final game Saturday night to really know how the playoffs were going to shape up, and they're shaping up to be they've shaped up to be a pretty good series, I think, for everybody involved.
I think this is going to be probably the most, if not, top three playoff series of the conference since its inception, with how teams have played each other, really. And 2 through 7, and even to an extent 1 through 7 have been pretty close. The only difference being Denver kind of owns Colorado College, but the rest of the year it's been pretty close, and anybody could beat anybody on any given night. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think last year, standing wise, might have been a little bit closer. Because I don't know if Duluth had an at-large bid or if they needed the tournament to really get them into the NCAA tournament, but we've got.
I think it would have been really close.
Yeah, but this year there's 3 teams for sure locked in. I think, with Denver, St. Cloud, and Western all being in that top 10 of the pairwise. Omaha's kind of a bubble team still. They have a potential to make it. I think they're going to have to win the tournament. Duluth is going to have to win the tournament. But I think last year it was because North Dakota got in as an at-large. Mm-hmm. I think there was 4 teams from the conference with at-large bids, and then Duluth got the automatics. We had 5 teams in the conference, or from the conference in the NCAA, and I don't know that we really have the strength to do that again this year, just because, like we said, Nebraska Omaha struggles with their non-conference schedule and does not put themselves in a beneficial place coming into conference play, and really leans heavy in that conference schedule to get there.
And UMD, we just haven't had the year. But yeah, I think you're right. I think no matter, I don't necessarily want to say no matter what, but I think UMD was an at-large team. We were just going to be like the 14th or 15th team in the tournament. It was going to be very, very close. And I think if we would have gotten ousted by St. Cloud, we might have missed it. But beating St. Cloud in that first round helped us.
Yeah. I mean, because you guys played the tournament was like banger for you guys. Fancy was on fire, and it really just kind of propelled you into the tournament on a positive note. And he played, the first round really well too.
And even the second round, 1-0 game on a fluke goal to the national champion.
Fluke goal. It definitely could have easily just have been Duluth moving on in that one as opposed to Denver. Yeah, I mean, good weekend. I posted on Twitter that, I'm not 100% happy with the way Western played. And yes, they ended up coming back to win that Saturday game, but it was close. And I honestly, I did not know that they were going to be able to do it. It took 2 goals from Max Sasson with the extra skater on the ice to tie that game up, and Captain Jason Poling gets number 29 of the regular season to give Western the win. So, I mean, 5 out of 6 points from a team that's struggled all year is good. But again, like, we were struggling in the defensive zone, and there were points in that game where It did not look like we were going to be able to get the puck away from Miami. And I think Miami scored more goals on us the last game of the season than they had combined the entire year against Western Michigan through 3 games. So Miami came to play that last night, and Western, for whatever reason, just kind of dropped the ball. And everyone, you can say that, okay, they're missing a defenseman and they're missing a forward, second line forward. But I mean, those are two guys, and there's 4 lines per, there's 4 lines of forwards, 3 lines of defensemen. At some point, one of those aren't the only 2 guys responsible for getting the puck out of the defensive zone, and the other 5 guys have to figure out how to play and play well and get it together if you really want to make a run. Like, that Saturday team did not look like a team that was capable of winning that game or really doing anything in any of the tournaments they have coming up, to be completely honest about it.
And I know you definitely messaged me that on Saturday, and you said this team does not look like a team that can make a run. I didn't see it, but I definitely trust your judgment on it. And I've seen that team play, and you and we see the game fairly similarly, I think. And to understand when your team, especially you watching them all year, me watching them when I can, if they don't look like a tournament team, then they're probably not going to look like a tournament team that can make a run. But I will say, I think it was Miami that played North Dakota last year in the tournament in the first round of the NCHC playoffs, and they lost 2-1 both games. And I think it was North Dakota, Miami, and then Denver, CC.
Maybe. I know Denver was the 1 seed last year as well. I think they had the tiebreaker over Denver. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Miami was not the last seed last year.
Yeah.
Colorado College was, but this Miami team, they understand. I think that they're not going to make a run, but they're going to try to, and they're going to play with everything that they have. But I mean, look at them. They beat UMD last week. They could have beat you this week. They're turning it on. Now, do they have the depth to do it? No. Do they have the talent? Not really. But they're going to give you everything you can have. And, anything can happen right now. I would be shocked, but even for them to take North Dakota 2-1 both games, and they had a lead because I was in St. Cloud on Friday. They had a lead on Friday. And I messaged you, and I'm like, what is going on? And even the people around me were like, holy crap, Miami's beating North Dakota, because we were all celebrating that. This is the time of year when they turn it on. They're like, we got nothing to lose. Might as well see what happens. And if we can kind of wreck some other teams' playoff hopes, like NCAA tournament hopes, let's do it.
I mean, the second half of the year, they definitely were a better team.
Well, they set the bar so low.
They have the 2 big losses to Denver to start the second half. Decent. I mean, 1-4 loss to Omaha, 0-2, 1-4, 0-8, or to Omaha and then North Dakota. But really, that since the start of February, 3-3 tie shootout loss, 1-1 tie shootout loss both to St. Cloud, 1-3 loss to Omaha, 2-3 loss in overtime, 2-3 loss to Minnesota Duluth, 4-1 win to Minnesota, or against Minnesota Duluth, the 0-5 loss to Western, and then a 4-5 OT loss. Like, I mean, they're in some of these games a lot more than they were at other times of the season. I think they're making the right steps, but they just don't have necessarily the shooters and the scorers that they need to be competitive night in and night out. I mean, they had a win against North Dakota in the start of the season, but they've got to start being on the winning side of some of these 1-0 games, or, learn to close out games. They had a 4-2 lead on Western until the last 2-3 minutes of the game. And Western gets that extra attacker out, and Sassen's able to bury back-to-back pucks and tie the game up so that Sassen could get that game winner and stamp out, or at least put Western in position to get that second place, because Western needed a little bit of help from North Dakota beating Nebraska, which they did. Mm-hmm.
And I do think you look at their stretch though with St. Cloud and UMD, and yes, that's good, but also what does it say about these two teams? You look at the stretch that St. Cloud had since they were number one. They could barely win a game. They were swept by UMD, and then they just kept losing, and they weren't really in games. They overtime and shootout loss, I think you said, to Miami. Like, it's just not a good team as much. So they were playing teams that weren't playing very well and then beating UMD. I will say Pearson played phenomenal
Let's see
during the
after.
weekend.
Oh, Pearson's one of the better goaltenders in the conference, without a doubt. I think he loses a lot of credit because of the fact that he plays for Miami. And Miami does not have a team really in front of him. But here he goes.
He plays about 4-on-1 or 0-on-5 most of the time with that team out there.
So to start the second half of the season after splitting, well, actually, let's go back. We'll start straight January 1st or January 7th. They split with Minnesota, who was number 1 or number 3, depending on which poll you were looking at. They split with Colorado College. This is St. Cloud, by the way. Split with Colorado College. Sweep Denver, who was the number 3 team at that point in the season. That gave them the number 1 ranking coming into playing Duluth. Swept by Duluth. Back-to-back overtime or shootout wins against Miami. A loss and a tie to North Dakota. Split with Omaha, and a split with Duluth to end the season. So really about
and the split was overtime on Saturday this past weekend.
Yeah, they don't list their overtime stuff because I think the one game against North Dakota was I don't know if that one went to a shootout or not. I think that was an overtime game, just a straight overtime game.
I think
it did go to a shootout.
Did it go to shootout? Yeah, so I mean, Miami is gaining confidence, beating some of these,
or at least being competitive in games.
Yeah, being competitive in games, but at the same time, I'm looking at these teams that they're being competitive with and or beating, and I can say it because they beat UMD. That's not a good team. It's a better team than Miami, but it's still not a good team.
No, I mean, for sure. But again, it just shows like you can't sleep on any of these teams, and no. Maybe Western got a little bit too cocky coming into the Saturday game because it was a 4-0 or a 5-0 win Friday night that they just kind of slept on Miami a little bit and needed that wake up call.
I mean, and even just in games, you can't sleep on teams.
No,
because when Miami came back on Friday against us, they still lost 3-2 in regulation, but then we were up 3-0 on St. Cloud on Saturday. Was it Saturday? It's Friday or Saturday. We were up 3-0. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Saturday, and all of a sudden, it's 3-2. It's 3. Son of a, we lost in overtime because they fell asleep after the first period.
Yeah, because you guys were up 3-0.
Yeah,
after 1. And I mean, and we kind of saw like Western struggle a little bit against Denver the week before that, and Western had opportunities that you've got to be. We're at the point where you've got to have all 3 zones or like all 3 groups playing well. Your offense has to be playing well. Your defense has to be able to clear pucks out and not turn over pucks in your zone, giving breakaways or open shots to guys. Your special teams has to be on point, both killing and on the power play. And Western has struggled in at least one of those all year long. Our penalty kill has been absolutely awful all year long. Near the bottom of the national rankings for penalty kill. Granted, we haven't taken as many penalties as we have in the past, but you still have to play the PK well and make sure that you're clearing pucks out. And our defense 5-on-5 struggles to clear pucks out, and it shows up even more so on the penalty kill when you're down a guy. Our power play has its moments. I kind of like what we're seeing a little. I like the way it's set up a little bit, missing that shot from Rome. Unfortunately, like him being out has made our power play look different, but I like the way we play it. I like having a guy. I would prefer the guy to the net be in front of the goalie causing a screen instead of playing that kind of bumper side of the net position. I feel like you have more opportunities if you're at least screening the goalie, and maybe the opportunity to make that pass back across from in front of the net. But we also need shooters who are going to make guys kind of come out of passing lanes a little bit more and try and block a shot, as opposed to just camping out in passing lanes and eating up time because you're looking for a clean look and you're not going to get it.
So, talking about the special teams, I do have, just to get off topic a little bit, but I do have a question to pose to you that our friend John actually brought up to me on Friday night. Because you look at the NCHC teams, and there are a lot of teams that are in the top, 10, 20 teams in the nation. We'll just say top third in the power play. But there's a lot of teams in the bottom third in the penalty kill. Is it the penalty kills are so bad that the power plays look good, or are the power plays so good that the penalties kills look bad? Because you look and it's kind of and I thought about this on Friday watching when they put up the stats with UMD and St. Cloud. I think we were like third in the nation for power play, but we were like 49th or 53rd or something in penalty kill. So near the very bottom. And St. Cloud was pretty much the same difference, maybe a little less.
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, let's look at power play goal scorers. The top two in the country, 2 out of the top 3 tied for first in the country, are both NCHC guys. Ben Steves from Minnesota Duluth, 12 power play goals. Hunter McCown from Colorado College, 12 power play goals. You go down to whoever's tied at 4th, which would technically, because there's 3 guys tied for first. Reese Gaber, 11 power play goals. And there are scorers in the NCHC. Jamie Cronulla from St. Cloud has 7. Carter Mazer from Denver has 8. There's like one guy in each team. Jamie Rome was sitting tied for 28th with 6 before he got injured, and he's missed the last 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks now. There's guys who are good at putting the puck on net when there's fewer guys on the ice, but there are some good penalty kill teams. I mean, St. Cloud is usually a team that kind of leads the country in shorthanded goals from time to time because of the way they play their style of defense. Do they have anyone? They've got 2 guys right now. Let's see, tied for 6th. Brandon Bushy and Grant Cruikshank both have 2 shorthanded goals. I mean, they have at least 4 shorthanded goals as a team. 2 of their guys. I mean, Maine has the most shorthanded, or a player with the most shorthanded goals at 4.
Yeah, and I think Micah Millers has one from a game that we were both watching earlier this year. It might have been a Western game.
Is at least one. He's always deadly. I mean, yeah. If he has one, then I think it's a little bit of both. I think the same teams who are struggling, like Western is 13th in power play percentage. North Dakota's number 1. St. Cloud's number 4. Denver's number 6. Minnesota Duluth is number 9.
Okay, yeah, we did drop down.
Western is 13. The top 5 teams in the conference almost, other than Nebraska Omaha is the only one a little bit behind. They're 17th. So the top 5 teams in the conference are all top 20 in the power play.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, those teams don't also have the highest penalty kill either, though. Let's see. Who has the highest penalty kill in the NCHC?
I think
Colorado College is at 22. North Dakota's at 16. North Dakota is currently the highest at 16, at 82.4%.
Yeah, and that's what I think I remember seeing. It was like North Dakota and Colorado College, but for
Miami 42, College, Minnesota Duluth 45.
Oh, hey, we moved up.
I mean, it's a little bit of both, but these are teams like, Western's not built to play defense. Minnesota Duluth's not really built to play defense. They're built to go and score goals and do just enough to get the puck back to their offense. Western Michigan
which I think
56, St. Cloud 55. And it's so I think it does still tend to be some of like how your team is built and how they scheme, both defensively and offensively. And Western plays a very offensive game. Now they don't have necessarily the most active defense as far as like being a
jumping up on the play and
they
or are
do
you saying
offensively,
defensively?
but like
But
in the defensive zone, like they're they're not playing back to like they don't try to keep you wide. They try to like hit you and take the puck away from you. They want to take the puck away from you. They're not trying to play these board battle, or they're trying to get some board battles, but they're not trying to like, we'll let you have your shot, but it's going to come from where we want it to come from. They're like, no, we want the puck. We're going to get the puck.
they're not going to play the wear you down game along the boards and just grind away, wear down the other team. It's going to be the quick, give me the puck. That's mine. We're going the other way. It's more of a north south instead of an east west.
Yeah,
I guess is the best way to put it.
but at times like the defensemen get caught trying to handle the puck a little too much. Like just get it out of the zone, get it to neutral ice, and or kind of dump and chase style hockey. Like we're trying to make plays in our defensive zone to build the offense up as opposed to just releasing that pressure and holding them up at the blue line and making entry harder. It just our defensive play is something to be desired still, and we've seen teams that are able to control the puck in our zone have success, whether they're getting a number of shots, they're getting second, third opportunities, they're creating messes in front of goaltenders and pushing pucks under or around or through, any number of ways. And it's or on the power play, and when they giving up, taking silly penalties, or being penalized when maybe we shouldn't have been penalized, and it affecting the score of the game more than the outcome of the game. Like things like that. Like you just have to be better in the defensive zone, and we're built to play in the offensive zone and not necessarily get from the defensive zone to the offensive zone by playing defense.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was just a question that I've been thinking of, and I just wanted to bring it up so we could talk about it here because I thought it was a pretty good point, and I honestly didn't know from watching UMD, a lot of our PKs were terrible. A lot of our power plays were actually pretty good. I'm like, that's a good point. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I know we got off a little bit off topic, but it's also relevant for the conference, especially coming into playoff time. Whose PK is going to step up, whose power play is going to step up, and which is going to win out.
I think it was your main like Twitter guy who was posting some pretty interesting stuff. Bruce.
Oh, Bruce Siski, the radio guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically our reporter.
Where the hell? Do I follow him or do I not? Was I following somebody else?
I follow him so I can find it.
But he had a couple of good like it was like percentages of goals or something like that, like where they were coming from, and Western was like high and above the most prolific 5-on-5. Like the majority of our, almost like 75% of or something like that of our goals were coming from 5-on-5 play.
I did see that. I just have to get past his Wordle and his complaining about snow and everything. I do enjoy listening to Bruce, but here it is. He had power play to penalty kill differential all games. Denver was the highest at +31. Western was you were fifth at +8.
Hey, I'm surprised we were +8, honestly, with the way that we like to get penalties called against us.
Oh, it gets way better. So it's Denver +31, Colorado College +23, Omaha +19, North Dakota +16, Western +8, St. Cloud +7, Miami -25, UMD -27.
Yeah, so I mean, like,
and
those teams with the higher calls in their favor were the ones that seem to be a little bit. I mean, You guys were awful on your PK and taking a lot of penalties. You might want to work on that.
A lot of majors.
Yeah.
But I think this is the one that you were alluding to. So percentage of even strength goals for NCHC teams. And I'll just start from the bottom because this is something that we talked about all year. In Colorado College, they only scored 58.3% of their goals at even strength. And that was something that we've hammered home that point. They need to get even strength scoring. So they're at 58.3%. St. Cloud is at 7th with 60.9. North Dakota 6th at 62.1, UMD 64.8, Miami 65.2, Denver 67.9, Omaha 70.1, and then Western at the top with 74.3%.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you're playing Western, you want to try and get guys to take penalties. The thing is we're not really taking bad penalties this year like we have in the past. They've smartened up and laid off on some of the post whistle stuff. They've really gotten better about the way they're checking or whatever, so we're not getting as many incidental contact to the heads. I mean, that could also be the fact that we no longer have a player who's 6'7", and every time he touches somebody, he's basically touching him in the head. God, we took so many penalties with him. But they're playing a cleaner game, and they're, unfortunately, we don't draw as many penalties as other teams, which is why I think we're only sitting at a +8 differential. So we rely on that 5-on-5 play, and thankfully we have goal scorers who can score in those situations, which is why I think you're seeing, 3/4 of our goals come 5-on-5.
and there's another one that we can get into a little bit later, but he also had percentage of even strength goals conceded. And so once we get into talking about these series, we can go through the matchups and see how big of a part that special teams game is going to play in those. So I will keep this tweet up.
Yeah, I found it too. So I'm right here. But yeah, I mean, all right, let's jump into players of the week. We didn't go through all of the, I guess we can go through the final standings and who did what. Denver finished first, and they swept Colorado College this weekend. Both teams using backup goalies, as primary goalies had both suffered injuries. We'll see how that affects playoffs here coming up. Who's able to get back, who's not. Western finished second, their highest finish in the NCHC regular season standings, with a NCAA sweep of Minnesota, or of Miami. In the NCHC rankings, it was 5 of 6 points. Omaha captures the number 3 spot as they suffered a overtime loss and a regulation loss to North Dakota. I'm going to cough, so I'll let you take the last one here.
And then UMD and St. Cloud State, they split. UMD had a regulation win on Friday and then an overtime loss on Saturday. So St. Cloud finishes 4th, and UMD hangs on to the 5th spot to set up the rematch from last year. And Wes might die on us here, so just let him die happy.
All right. Nope, not done yet.
If we need to call 911, just let him be. No one do it. He'll be fine.
Just a little warm. But yeah, so we got a couple. We were players of the week. Forward is Max Sasson. He had 5 goals, 2 assists on the weekend, a hat trick on Friday. The 2 very important goals at the end of regulation on Saturday to tie that game up and force overtime. 2 assists, including the game assist on the game-winning goal on Saturday. Defenseman Ethan First from North Dakota, 2 goals, 7 block shots. Goalie of the week was backup goaltender for Denver, Matt Davis, stopping 46 of 49 shots on the weekend in a 2-1 and 4-2 win over Colorado College. And rookie Dylan James from North Dakota, 2 goals, 1 assist for a 3-point weekend.
And then we have the all rookie team. First off, the only unanimous player, which we discussed earlier today, we're not quite sure why he's the only unanimous player, but Jackson Blake from North Dakota, probably because he scored the majority of his points against NCHC teams. Ryan McAllister from Western Michigan, probably, in my opinion, the best overall rookie freshman for the NCHC. Ben Steves from UMD, who is tied for the lead in power play goals in the nation. That rounds out your forwards. Jacob Given from Omaha and Joaquim LeMay from Omaha. So Omaha swept the defensive positions. And then I think the kind of the obvious one in general, even though I think he was the only freshman goalie? At least the one that played the most. But
No, he was
Caden
not the only.
Mberko.
Was not the only freshman goalie. Lacozy for Omaha could have also been
That's right.
considered there, and I might have maybe leaned more towards Latcozy. I'm not sure how many, maybe start wise, maybe Mberko had higher numbers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Caden started more.
Would be the only determining. Let's look. Cozy. Swear to God, this stupid weather change is gonna kill me. I hate seasonal changes.
Well, we don't want that.
All right, that Cozy had started 17 games, played or started 16, played in 17. Had a 2.35 goals against average, a 9.2 save percentage. No, I did not hit that mute button, unfortunately. Sorry about that. 10 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie, 2 shutouts.
And Mberko played 28 games. I'm trying to find his starts. But he had a 9.23, and he had where is that? He had a higher goals against. He had a 2.43. So, like Cozy, yes, he played in 11 less games. He had a higher or a lower goals against, I guess, but also a lower save percentage than Mberko did. You might want to unmute yourself there.
Mberko went 6-15-2 with 3 shutouts. So let's do this. Let's look at, let's see, schedule.
Nope. Who their shutouts?
Well, who are their shutouts and who are their like opponents? Game by game. I don't know which all games that Caden started, so. Oh, here we go. Anchorage.
Uh, well, while you're doing that, this this fun little stat, uh, talking about Pearson and just the team in front of him, his average saves per game were 28.43. The next closest was Umberco with 24.39 saves per game. So over 4 shots per game, or over 4 saves per game that Pearson was making versus the next closest goalie. With Umberco, who was very good. DeRitter made the fewest saves per game on average, 20.27.
Yeah, I mean it's too hard to look it up on the way I wanted to do it, but I think Lacosi, even though he played in fewer games, he had a little bit better stat line. Umberco played in more games, but he was clearly not a determining factor in his team winning as many games as we kind of heaped praise on him for. Maybe some of that's a little bit of the defensive struggles that Colorado College had. But I think he won some series that were big time series and got his name out there. But I feel like Cozy was a little bit more consistent in his fewer opportunities. And I mean 10-4 versus 6-15, like those are big stats. Even win-loss.
But again,
and
going back to just that stat that we had percentage of even strength goals, and I have to look at the team stats, but Omaha 70.1% of their goals were even strength goals. Colorado College was 58.3.
yeah.
You can't fault the kid. It helps when your team can actually score goals for you in front of you. And I'm not taking away from him. It's just as far as the win loss goes, like Cozy had a lot better team in front of him to score and give him a better opportunity to win games, and maybe face less shots, maybe face less higher danger chances than Umberco did. And but that equates to the wins in helping your team win. You can only do so much as a goalie. And when just over half of your goals are even strength, and you're relying on Hunter McCown.
Okay, so then percentage of even strength goals conceded. Colorado College conceded 73.1% of their goals were 5-on-5 goals. Omaha is just below that at 69.3%. So Omaha played slightly better 5-on-5. They allowed slightly fewer goals 5-on-5 than Colorado College did.
Slightly fewer 5-on-5, yes.
So, that maybe Cozy's making a few more plays 5-on-5 than Caden is. Or,
but,
like I said, the defensive struggles. But at the same time, 6 wins versus 10 wins, that's a significant number of wins.
It is. But you also look at their save percentage.
That's
9-2-3 versus 9-2. They're basically identical in that. So I think the wins, it's not.
Let's do this. Let's see who.
I don't think it was more.
Let's see who the actual wins were against.
I don't think Cozy was.
I know Lacosi. I think Lacosi beat Western Michigan. Caden did not.
What I'm saying is, I don't think it's necessarily Cozy stealing more wins. It's the rest of the team, the rest of Colorado College, losing the wins with the scoring as far as save percentage and the 5-on-5 goals. That's a 3% is a decent number, but it's not that huge of a number.
Let's see. He has a win over Minnesota Duluth.
Sorry, 4%.
A win and a tie. All right, here we'll do like opponents. Well, I mean, we'll do NCHC opponents. A win against Minnesota Duluth. A loss against
So
Minnesota Duluth. This is Caden.
Empirical. Yep, that's what I figured with UMD first.
Split with UMD. A tie and a win against Miami. 2 losses to St. Cloud. Another split with Duluth. Swept Omaha. Split with St. Cloud. Swept by Western. Swept by Denver. A loss and a tie to Omaha. Swept by Western. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, he only played in one of those games. A loss to North Dakota and a loss to Denver. If we go to me dying once again. Who the hell was I looking at? Nope, it didn't go. Hang on. Oh, sweet Jesus, I'm coming home. Oh, this might be the last episode, guys.
R.I.P. No, I'll just ask Trevor. Be like, yeah, Wes,
Oh.
Wes passed on. Trevor, you want to come pay attention to college hockey?
Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to do all this back end shit that I do. Oh, I'm fucking dying here.
Trevor. That's what I have Trevor for. Like, that's gonna go well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm fucking dying here. Mm-mm.
Can't imagine how much of a travesty Trevor and I would be. Talking, we're fine. Any of the technical stuff, nope.
And I can't see straight. Cough so hard, can't see straight. And if you're wondering, no, that's not good for you. Don't do that.
Yeah, right. I might have to message Trevor and be like, do you want to learn technical stuff?
Like Cozy. Win over Western. A loss to Colorado College. A win over Duluth. Win over Miami. Loss to Western. Win to Western. Win over Colorado College. Tie with Colorado College. Win over Miami. Loss to St. Cloud. Win over St. Cloud. Loss to North Dakota.
So they're pretty even in that standpoint, other than really the Western. The Western series where Umberco was not doing that. I think the one thing that did hurt Lacozy is the fact that he didn't play. Like, Umberco played a lot more than Lacozy did. I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's what. Well, I don't think I know. I think that's what hurt him. But do I think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world? No, because he's getting used to. Wasn't he the one that? Yeah, he played.
They both played in the World Juniors. Like Cozy played for Slovakia.
Yeah, he's Slovakian, but I think he's also. Well, yeah, he played for Slovakia, but then he was just kind of coming over, I think, to play here for college. Where in Umberco, he's used to all this, the juniors and playing just juniors teams in general, and that whole process where I don't think college was as much of an adjustment, and he won the job there. Like Hosey, he was still getting adjusted to the college life. So I think that's maybe why they kind of let him hang around and just learn the ropes a little bit. Next year, he could be a lot more dangerous as a goalie. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him.
No, I mean,
I just
I think
think
that there was. I think we gave Caden a little bit more credit than maybe he deserved. The way he was kind of talked about in the number of, like I said, goalie of the week awards or whatever he won. I think actually Cameron Rowe ended up being the most awarded goalie of the week award winner. Um, but America was a goaltender whose name came up a lot. And, maybe it was deserved, maybe it wasn't. I think maybe we'll see a little bit more of that next year. But I think Lacosi definitely also is a name that could have been in for the running of freshman first team all goalie or all rookie team goalie for sure.
and I'm sure there's that stat out there because I know it's out there for the NHL, so I'm sure somebody tracks it for the NCAA of how many games, for lack of knowing what it's officially called, the number of games that your goalie steals for you, and just kind of determining that and looking at the teams that they had built, where Omaha, they've kind of hung around. In Colorado College, they went from bottom of the league to,
Bottom of the
well,
league.
still bottom of the league, but a better team, more competitive team than they were last year. Where Omaha, they jumped from sixth to third, but that's usually where we expect them to be. So it wasn't that much of a shock
Yeah.
to see them there.
But I think that'll wrap up all the old stuff. Let's get to the new stuff, which is this weekend, the first round of the playoffs.
After we've killed an hour.
Yeah. Only 50 minutes. And some of that was pre-show stuff. So we're, about maybe 45 minutes in. I've died a couple times. But it is what it is. So we've got Miami at Denver is the 8-1. I think the big story here is whether or not Denver's going to get Corona back. We know that Miami is Miami. They have been playing a little bit better of late. I don't know that they still have. I don't know that they have the goal scoring necessary to really make this a super contested series. So I think Denver's going to win it in 2 games. Maybe Friday's game, maybe Saturday's game goes to overtime. I think Denver gets the win Friday pretty handily. Maybe they kind of relax a little too much in Saturday. Maybe Saturday goes to overtime. But I don't see it going to Sunday.
I agree with you. I think even if Miami keeps it to a defensive battle and just tries to win 1-0, 2-1, they just don't have the firepower. And we learned last year, yes, it's a little bit different of a Denver team than it was last year, but they were kind of the quote unquote high flyers. They were the fast, quick hitting team in the NCHC. They went against Mankato, who were the fast, quick hitting team of the whole NCAA, and they just play the shutdown game. They're like, yeah, we're fine with this. We play like this every weekend, basically. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble. I do think they're going to have some trouble, at least early on in games. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-goal game after 2 periods in one or both of these games, and then the switch just gets turned on and be like, okay, guys, let's get it together here. We're 1, they're 8 for a reason. They barely beat any teams in the conference this year. I think it's kind of like last year with North Dakota, where it's closer than you think it's going to be, but Denver still comes out on top and makes their way to St. Paul. in 2 games.
Matchup number 2 is Colorado College at Western Michigan. Western Michigan has won all 4 of the matchups this season. Colorado College may be without goaltender Emberko. I don't know that there's been any update on his injury at the moment. They may be rolling with veteran senior goalie Matt Vernon. Western has definitely, they're still potentially playing without 2 important pieces in Cameron Berger and Jamie Rome. They did beat this Colorado team without those guys a few weeks ago pretty handily in those games. Again, I don't know that this one's really, depending on how if Western plays both games 100%, I think they'll be fine. You can't rest on anything. I think they got that. They should have gotten that wake up call on Saturday. Again, I don't see it really being a series that's going to go 3 games. Could it? Yeah, I mean, possibly. Western's got to stay out of the box because they're playing a talented power play team. Our penalty kill sucks. We've got to keep it 5-on-5 because Colorado College has relinquished a lot of 5-on-5 goals. Western has scored a lot of 5-on-5 goals. And we want to keep the puck in their end. Now, this is Western's spring break week. So Friday, there may not be as many students back yet. Hopefully a good number will show out. I know they've sold out like the last 3 weeks of tickets. I'm expecting playoffs to not be really any different. Playoffs hockey is big hockey, and it's going to be a fun time. I expect Western to win, but the last time I expected Western to beat Colorado College came in and took 2 out of 3 and made it a 3-game series. And Trevor can fill us in on why that may or may not have happened, because he was present for that series.
I think he already has filled us in, but he can fill us in again just because we like making him relive
traumatic events.
Past
trauma. But yeah, I mean, it should be a good series. And things lean Western's way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive series. And I think the one difference between the Denver Miami series, as far as if Corona's back for Denver or not, is Vernon's proven himself a capable goalie. And, yes, Emberko did beat him out for the starting spot, but he proved himself fairly well when Emberko was at the World Juniors. Vernon, now they didn't play super strong competition, but he has a couple games and he can play. I think that might make a difference where it's not so much of a drop off compared to, which we'll get into later, but certain series that we saw last year where, okay, you're playing Emberko versus Vernon. It's going to be the team. I have a little more confidence that this will go 3 if your guys don't wake up for Friday. If they play like they did against Miami on Saturday, from what you've said. But as long as you stay out of the box against this Colorado College team, they're probably not going to score on you 5-on-5 with only 56%, I think 56 or 58% of their goals. Because I don't have the tweet up now. If that's 5-on-5, you guys, you're going to outscore them 5-on-5. Stay out of the box. Western comes visiting here to the Xcel Energy Center.
The next 2 series are actually rematches from earlier this season, from this last weekend, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Omaha plays host to North Dakota, who they just played at North Dakota this last weekend. This one might be, to me, the highest likelihood of an upset going in. North Dakota has played a little bit better at the end of the year. They just took 2 games from Omaha. Now, that being said, I think it's hard to win 4 straight games against any team. And it's hard enough to win 2 straight, but to win 4 straight against any team in the NCHC is difficult. This one also, to me, has the highest likelihood of being an all-weekend 3-game series.
I can make arguments, but
with potentially one, if not more, of these games going to overtime. They're evenly matched teams. Both have a number of goal scorers. This was the other series that I was watching closely just because it was the one that had the most implications for where Western was going to finish in the standings. So I paid attention to this series, and neither team really showed that they could pull away from the other team. Both teams battled back a couple times to tie or to, take leads, tie games late. I think experience-wise, maybe you lean North Dakota. The other thing going into North Dakota's favor is, for whatever reason, Omaha has struggled in the first round of the playoffs, no matter where they've seeded. They've yet to make it to St. Paul in the 10 years of the NCHC. I believe they're the only team that has... Colorado College might be the other. So they're either the only team or one of 2 teams that have failed to make it to St. Paul.
I think so. The one thing I had to check, because it is in Omaha where a lot of teams seem to struggle. Back in November, North Dakota won 4-1, and then they lost in a shootout to Omaha. So whatever advantage that Omaha holds over UMD and Miami and Western and the rest of the NCHC, North Dakota doesn't care about that.
I mean, maybe that's partly just the way that North Dakota travels. I mean, there's going to be a good number of folks from Grand Forks making the trip down to Omaha. But yeah, they seem to be the one team who does not have the struggles in Omaha that everybody else does. And maybe that's just because Grand Forks is another place where there is absolutely nothing going on except college hockey, that they're used to the boredom that place creates. And so they do fine with it. I mean, I think North Dakota played extremely well in the pod there back in, 2 years ago when we had the pod. So yeah, they're for whatever reason they play really well in Omaha. But I think this feels like the most even 6-3 matchup you're probably going to see across college tournaments this season. And it's one that, like I said, I don't know that it would be that big of an upset if North Dakota came across this.
I don't think it would be either. And it kind of feels like that, for anybody who follows the NCAA men's basketball tournament, that 5-12 matchup where there's always at least one, and they're always just kind of close games. This feels like that. And North Dakota, a lot of the season, they've just felt like they've lost games that they're in, and they lose them late, where the score might not be indicative of how the 80% of the game was played.
And North Dakota's got to close out games.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to close out games this year, and that's been their biggest problem. That's why their record and shows what it does, and that's why they're the 6th seed. So I do think I agree. It's a 3-game series more than likely. And I would even say 2 out of the 3 games go to overtime, if not all 3. There is that potential with these teams.
Oh yeah. And I think I actually have in my pick, I made a pick of these. I have North Dakota making it through. Let me double check. I know I sent it somewhere. I applied to somebody. Oh, there it was. I just had it. Fuck. I mean, either way, Denver's going to go through. Western's going to go through. North Dakota's going to go through. Those are my picks so far. A rematch of last year's quarterfinals. A rematch of last weekend's final weekend play. In the same spots, 4 and 5. St. Cloud, the 4 seed. Minnesota Duluth, the 5 seed, just like last year. Minnesota Duluth won this series last year, sweeping the 2-game set. They did not need the third game, which I think a lot of people were expecting possibly for it to go to that third game.
Especially after Saturday.
Believe both games did go to overtime, or at least Saturday did.
Saturdays did last year. I think it was a 4-1 win on Friday. The biggest difference in this series is the fact that last year Rennick was sick and Castor had to come in basically cold off the bench. And now this year, Castor has basically half of a season under his belt. And they also have Dominic Bassi with half a season under his belt.
And your goaltending has been inconsistent with both Thiessen and Stay-Squall switching time. Neither one of them really taking command of the crease.
No. We did play Stay-Squall both games last weekend. So I don't know if that's indicative of the play, but it's going to be another battle of a series. We did take 3 of 4, losing the 4th one in overtime this year. But
you did beat them when they were you swept them as the number 1 team in the country.
We did up in Duluth. I still just I don't quite have confidence in my team, but at the same time, I don't have confidence in the St. Cloud team like we talked about earlier. They're not. Last year's St. Cloud team was way scarier, especially if they had Rennick in net. This year, I do think the Bassi-Castor tandem has been very, very good, but the rest of their team has not been. And I can see this one going to 3, and I'm not quite sure what Coach Larson's going to do as far as his goaltending. I think he split time this last weekend as well. I can't quite remember. I wasn't quite paying attention on Saturday. I believe Castor started on Friday. Let me find that quick because I am so prepared for this.
We never are. This is how we do. This is the thrills of the show, being live and us not knowing what we're doing. Box score. Here we go.
Individual. Castor did start Friday.
And Bassi started Saturday. So yeah, they did.
Yeah, so that's the one interesting part going into the weekend, where I know we talked about this probably about midway through the year. What are they going to do when it gets closer to tournament time? Is any goalie going to take hold of the crease? Are they going to establish themselves as that number 1 goalie? And to me, it seems like neither of them have.
I would say that I would lean Bassi. I think he's been slightly more consistent. I think his win-loss record is slightly better of the two. And
for me, if I'm Coach Larson, I go Bassi because he did get the win on Saturday. Now, he did give up 3, but he hung in there and he kept UMD a 3 and allowed the team to come back. So I really don't know what to think about this series other than I could see it going 3.
Okay.
Last year's probably should have gone to 3 because we got
So
lucky in overtime.
Caster has one more game played. He's 10-6, 1-2. Two shutouts, one tie. Bassie is 9-4-2 with 3 shutouts.
I think you go with Bassie. Caster has the one more win, but I take the one more shutout and ride with him.
I mean, Bassie also has a little bit more experience having been a starter or at least shared time in Colorado before transferring to
yes.
St. Cloud.
Yes,
You got to pick somebody, and I think maybe, I don't know, maybe you ride with Bassie because he won Saturday, so you throw him back in there Friday. If he wins, you ride the hot hand, throw him in Saturday. If you lose Saturday, you still have Sunday. If you want to go back to Caster Sunday, you could do something like that, I suppose.
yeah,
But now is when you want to start injecting your players with confidence and not necessarily being like, yeah, you won, but it's this guy's start, so you're sitting anyway. Like, where
and I think
it should be, nope, you won, I'm going to ride you until I can't anymore.
and I think that's both coaches have decisions to make at the goaltending position. I would go with Bassie. He won the game in overtime. I got confidence you got the win. At the same time, if I'm Scott Sandlin, I run with Stay Skull. He got the win on Friday. You lost in overtime. Losing in overtime or winning in overtime, it's not that much of a difference maker in the sense of confidence. It's like, hey, we just didn't score that one more goal for you. It's not on you. We just didn't do that. I mean, it makes a difference some, and that might be a preposterous statement, but I think it's going to be a Bassie Stay Skull battle at least for the first 2 games.
And Styskull has the experience. He's played in big games. He was a part of that 5 overtime game.
That's such stupid game.
Uh,
We won it, but it was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, he's a been there, done that kind of guy. He deserves the opportunity to play for sure. So this one feels more like a coin flip, but I lean more St. Cloud this year than I did last year, just because they have gotten more consistency out of their goaltending. They're not relying on somebody coming in fresh. Both goaltenders have been good. It's hard,
think
it's hard to win every game against an opponent, and these 2 teams probably know each other the best out of everybody playing this weekend.
Well, this will be, if it only goes 2 games, this will be their 11th and 12th games against each other in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that the one edge that St. Cloud has is they have more experienced guys that have played more of a major role than UMD does, where we have a lot more freshmen playing major roles on this team, and I think that can make a difference. And then you have a guy like Grant Cruikshank coming in, and he's got experience in the conference and then in the Big Ten on a team like the Minnesota Gophers. Like he brings an element, and he's had one hell of a year too. So I do think they have that experience that's gonna push them over the top. Would I like to see 3 games? Absolutely. Do I think it's possible? Absolutely. I think St. Cloud into, and I have a commitment on Saturday, but I might try and run over to St. Cloud for the Friday game uh, and watch that one live if I feel so motivated.
I will be at all of the games that need to be at this weekend.
Well,
It'll be
yeah,
a family affair Friday, a solo event Saturday, and possibly a solo event Sunday if needed.
well, you live a lot closer.
This is true. I live like 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Depending on weather and traffic. But
And oh yeah, never mind. We're still, I don't know when that's supposed to end, but we're supposed to get like another 4 to 7 inches of snow Thursday through Friday. And yeah, never mind. I'm gonna be at home and I'll be watching the games on TV. Um and hoping for the best, but we shall see.
all right, I think that's going to do it. I'm about to die. I need to get rid of this seasonal cold. It's almost gone. But I think that's going to do it for me. Our final picks are, I believe we're both on the same page here. I think we both have Denver, Western, St. Cloud, and North Dakota all moving on to St. Paul for the Frozen Face-Off. And we will pick those games next week.
Mm-hmm.
So until then, one thing left to say: Pucks on net, good things happen, like goal horns and fight songs. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. We're out of here.